how you use collections, or if you don't use collections, you know, why not? So I'm going to talk a little about that, and then we'll do a little quiz time, and then I'll tell you some of the lessons learned from the survey. So yeah, we all know biodiversity collections provide crucial data for answering questions about our planet. I mean, just look at all the other JMIH talks. All of them are using collections for the most part. But for some reason, there are still larger groups of biologists that are not utilizing the great resources that collections provide. And it's a big, I don't know why, but that's what I've set out to sort of solve here. But there's a problem that goes along with that. There are a lot of assumptions about how collections are used and what types of data are important to and to whom. And these are things that just kind of like, almost like a legacy of bad rumors get passed from collection manager to collection manager, curator to curator about, oh, who's using our collection? Oh, it's got to be all of these people. And we need to figure it out. And what's the solution? The power of informatics. So I boiled it down to 3 main questions. There are several other questions I tried to answer with the survey, but I'll just talk about 3 today. First one is, how are fish biologists using fish collections? What are the factors that contribute to use or not use of collections? And what can be done by collection folks to increase collections use by a broader audience? And why ask these questions, you say? Well, I'll tell you. To generate data on usage, because we all know if we can show that our collections are useful, that we'll get more funding, they'll be more important. We want to find out where our data initiatives should focus. We're all generating data. People are generating data outside the collections community. Oh, that's weird. And where should we be focusing our effort based on the needs of the broader scientific community? I want to get a peek at what outreach directly impacts future collections use. So when did you first step into a collection, and did you end up using collections in your research later if you became a biologist? And then finally, find out why some researchers, for some reason or another, decided not to use collections, even though everybody could benefit from using some collections data. And so the survey, we used Qualtrics. I got permission through UFIRB, which gave me permission to work on humans, which is really cool. And we used controlled vocabulary. I didn't say anything wild and crazy. I just said what I told them I was going to say. All participants were anonymous, and the data, we only collected data on how they got to the survey. It was free response. We used we use free response Likert scale, which is basically like on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you like burritos? Like that kind of thing. And then the stats are analyzed in SPSS. And about 500 people participated, but only 430 people actually went to the end. So thank you if you went to the end. Ages 18 to infinity, from academia, private sector, government, industry. In fact, most people weren't from academia, which is really cool. We got it from Society Listserv. We advertised in Society Listserv, social media, email, word of mouth, and we plan to publish the data and then give it open access through like the Spinach Wiki so other people can use this data. And in case you're curious, because everybody in the room is really curious about the real question, like what type of fish biologist took the survey, everybody was able to select up to 3 disciplines to identify as. It turns out every biologist in the world likes to identify themselves as more than one thing. So ecologists were people who identified as ecologists were the most, and then we got a smattering of the other stuff. But I can talk with you about that later if you're interested. So without further ado, it's quiz time. So my lovely assistant Thaddeus is in the back. If you know Thaddeus Buser, he's going to be the quizmeister. So if any of you are familiar with Family Feud, so basically we're going to razzle dazzle this one and show you what you do. So basically each one is based on a survey question. So here's a sample one. So like things you only do when you're flying in an airplane, So here's each of the responses that you might do is all on there with the survey percentages. And so this will be a lot more fun if you all participate. So I'll definitely be walking around and give everybody the chance to participate. So we'll go to the first survey question. Oh, I have to do that. That's right. All right. So here's the question that we asked you guys. What type of fish biologist is using collections the most? Anybody? Anyway, Mark.
Ecologists.
Show me ecologists. Yeah, 17% of responses for ecologists. All right, anybody else? Anybody else? Just shout it out.
Taxonomists.
Oh, taxonomists. Show me taxonomists. Yeah, 15% of the responses. Anybody else? Just fire them off.
Morphologists.
Morphologists. So that would be like yeah, there is, that's on there. We've got like anatomy and morphology, I think is one. No. Oh, that's on the next question. All right, anybody else? Conservation biologist. Yeah. All right, and we'll razzle-dazzle the rest so we can get through them. Phylogeneticists and biogeographers. All right. Next, and here's some of the data. Snooze fast. All right, we'll go to the next one. All right, so, oops, my bad. All right, round 2. All right, here it is. What disciplines have the largest proportion of not using collections? So who's not using collections? What types of fish biologists?
Molecular biology.
Say it again?
Molecular.
Molecular, show me molecular biologists. Oh, they're high percentage of collection use. How do you get those tissues?
Physiologist.
Physiologist. Yeah. Anybody else? Anybody else? Behavioral, let's see, is that on there? Oh yeah, behavioral ecology. Yep, 30% of behavioral ecologists are not using collections.
Fisheries biology.
Fisheries biology, womp. Anybody else? Anybody got the number 1? Anybody? Anybody? All right. Oh, Mark. All right.
Policymakers.
Policy. That's kind of in fisheries management, but all right. Let's razzle dazzle the rest of them so you can see it. All right. Yeah, aquaculture. Boo. All right. So next question is. There we go. All right. So, what is the job title of someone using fish collections? So, which type of
Professor.
Yeah, okay. Show me professor. We've got tenured and untenured. Show me both of them. Yeah.
Curator?
So, show me people using their own collections. No. Yeah, well, maybe professional staff. Let's try that. Yeah, all right, people working at collection, or maybe maybe a volunteer, right? Yeah. Or what about students? Yeah. There you go. These are the most people using collections, and there's the boring data. All right. Next question. All right, so when was your first interaction with a fish collection? Undergraduate. Maybe doing research. Yeah. Visited as an undergraduate, or maybe you. Yeah. Okay. Anybody? Adania?
A collection tour, like
a tour. Show me collection tours. Oops, wrong one. Okay, that is. Just the tours is on there. I know it's on there. Same thing. It's the same thing. All right. Yeah. Anybody else? Maybe. All right. Let's razzle dazzle this one. You visited for grad research, or you worked there as a graduate student. All right. All right. All right, so what is the most useful type of data in collections for fish biologists?
Vouchers.
Somebody said vouchered specimens? Okay, well what about the specimens? Maybe some data that might be associated with that specimen. I might have done that an accident. Oh man, now there's all the answers. Oh, that's for the last one. Okay, we're good.
location data.
Anyway, yeah, locality data is on there. I think that's the number 3 one. Yep. Locality data. I think we're in question 5, right? Yeah. Oh no. Okay, useful. We'll skip to, anyway, in case you were wondering, the most useful types of data are genus and species, locality, tissue samples, and geopoint, like, where you actually collected it.
Absolutely.
All right, so we'll do the round 6. What's round 6? All right, so naturally, what are the least useful types of data for fish biologists? Show me unidentified specimens. All right, anybody else? What kind of data?
Collectors?
Oh yeah, collector. Yeah, you know, I thought that would be one, but I think that might be yeah. I was surprised. Anybody else? Any data that's show me a CT scan. All right, let's razzle dazzle. We'll show you what the least audio recordings, reproductive organs, histology slides, dry skeletons,
Yeah.
specimens, and associated parasites. So, yeah, I know it's kind of surprising, but if it makes you feel any better, there's a lot of things, and it's not just things that people find like these are not useful things; they're just the least useful to their research. All right, we're gonna try to wrap up here. All right, so where do fish biologists get their collections data? Online. Show me digitally. Yeah. All right, anybody else? Well, that's digitally, right? Unless you got a fishnet catalog I don't know about.
Did it visit?
Email. Show me email the collection staff.
Did it visit the collection?
Show me visiting a collection. That's their, or they're your own collection, but also visiting another collection. And anybody else? Last one? How else might you get your collections data?
Razzle dazzle us.
Oh, we'll razzle dazzle this one. Yeah, it's from loan.
Oh yeah,
I mean, come on, who doesn't love a good loan, you know? And yeah, I'll show you that later if you're interested. All right, I think this is the last round, pretty sure. So, what might be a reason that a fish biologist would have never used a collection? Why would you have never used a collection? They don't know about it, so they don't know how to access the data. Yep.
Uncontrollable fear.
They feel like they don't have access to the data. Yeah, anybody else? Sorry, say that again? Morphosource. All right, so maybe let's razzle dazzle this one. Yeah. So either they assume that there's no data they need, or they looked and found no data that they need, or they were trained by their evil advisor to collections data. All right, so I've got we're gonna skip round 9. Basically, it's like you used it in the past and you don't use it anymore, and it's the same as why you've never used it ever. You've either forgot how to access the data or you don't know how to access the data anymore. Yeah, and this could be contributed to a lot of things. Citations is really weird, so when people said whether or not they cited specimens, it's almost like self-advertising in our own community. So like I wrote a paper and I said I cited some specimens, so there's a real split between who's actually doing that. And then most people cite the collection code, but then there's a lot of other really interesting information that can link it all together that people aren't using. And just some take-homes from our wacky and wild game show that you just participated in is collections are accessed by a silent majority. You know, remember that giant 35% digital download? So you got this large group of people that are doing it. Ecologists are becoming the primary consumers. And most people don't use collections because they don't know how to access the data. And a lot of data fish biologists want the most can actually be found just on the label. And work study courses and tours are the best way to influence future use of collections by a long shot. And I'd like to thank everybody that participated in all of the societies and meetings that were able to spam you guys' inbox with my survey. And if you have any other questions, I think I might have like 1 minute. If not, we can talk later. Contact info at the bottom.
Time for one question.
Yeah, a good one. And then we can like ding if it's a good, ding.
Randy, do you have any data on, of those ecologists who are downloading data, how many of them are like state departments of ecology, how many of them are for-profit places like environmental consulting firms versus non-profit?
The short answer is yes, we know everything about them, including what social media they like. That's the only information I took, I swear. I just know, I know that everybody loves Facebook and Twitter. That's, Instagram, who got there through Instagram?
But my question is that some, so there are some for-profit entities that are using
for sure.
collection data.
Yes, there are.
And maybe in the future they need to be treated differently than
Yes.
nonprofits and
Sure.
students and academics.
They're definitely using collections, for sure. Private industry was a significant component of people that participated.
Is that self-identified as private industry?
Yes. Yes.
Thanks.